Picture this: you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., phone in hand, analyzing every single text message he sent you today. You're dissecting his tone, counting the minutes between his responses, wondering if that K instead of OK means he's losing interest.
¿Sound familiar?
Or maybe you're the woman who keeps attracting the same type of man, charming at first, but emotionally unavailable. You tell yourself, this time will be different, yet here you are again, feeling confused and questioning your own intuition. If you're nodding along, take a deep breath. You're not crazy, you're not too much, and you're definitely not alone. What you're experiencing has been studied, understood, and explained by one of the most brilliant minds in psychology, Carl Gustav Jung. Hi, I'm your AI guide, and today we're embarking on a journey into Jung's revolutionary understanding of male-female relationships. Jung wasn't just any psychologist. He was the man who gave us concepts like the collective unconscious, archetypes, and personality types. But more importantly for our discussion today, he unlocked the secret psychological dynamics that govern how men and women connect, clash, and either grow together or grow apart. Jung spent decades studying the human psyche, and what he discovered about relationships will fundamentally change how you see every interaction with men. We're not talking about surface-level dating advice here. We're diving deep into the unconscious patterns that have been shaping your romantic life since childhood. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete psychological framework for understanding not just the men in your life, but your own unconscious patterns in relationships. You'll learn why you're attracted to certain types, why some relationships feel like emotional roller coasters, and most importantly, how to break free from cycles that no longer serve you. So grab your favorite tea, settle in, and prepare to see relationships through the lens of one of psychology's greatest minds. This isn't just theory, this is practical wisdom that can transform your love life forever.
The Foundation, Jung's Revolutionary Insight.
Before we dive into specific concepts, let's understand what made Jung's approach to relationships so revolutionary. In the early 1900s, when Jung was developing his theories, psychology was dominated by Freud's rather simplistic view that everything came down to sexual drives and childhood trauma. Jung saw something far more complex and beautiful. He recognized that every human being contains both masculine and feminine psychological elements, regardless of their biological sex. This wasn't about gender roles or stereotypes. This was about fundamental psychological energies that exist in all of us. Think of it this way. Imagine your psyche as a magnificent orchestra. Jung discovered that this orchestra contains both masculine instruments, representing qualities like logic, assertiveness, and goal-oriented thinking, and feminine instruments, representing intuition, receptivity, and emotional connection. A beautiful life requires both sets of instruments playing in harmony. But here's where it gets fascinating for relationships. Jung observed that we often project these inner psychological elements onto our romantic partners. The man you fall in love with isn't just himself, he's also carrying the projection of your inner masculine qualities. Similarly, you're not just yourself to him, you're also carrying his inner feminine projection. This discovery was groundbreaking because it explained why relationships often feel so intense and why they can trigger such deep emotional responses. You're not just relating to another person, you're relating to your own unconscious psychological material that's been projected onto them. Jung called this phenomenon psychological projection, and understanding it is the key to conscious relationships. When you understand projection, you stop taking everything personally and start seeing the deeper psychological dynamics at play. Let me give you a real-world example.
Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, almost mystical connection?
Like you'd known them forever? That's often projection at work. Your unconscious mind is recognizing something familiar, not because you've met this person before, but because they're embodying aspects of your own psyche that you haven't fully developed. This is why Jung insisted that the most important relationship work happens within yourself. External relationships are often mirrors, reflecting back to you the parts of yourself that need attention, healing, or development.
De Anima, your inner masculine guide.
Let's dive deeper into one of Jung's most profound concepts, the anima. Every woman carries within her psyche an inner masculine figure, your anima. This isn't about wanting to be a man or rejecting your femininity. Your anima is your internal compass for understanding and relating to masculine energy. But here's what's crucial to understand: your anima isn't neutral. It's been shaped by every significant masculine figure in your life, starting from your earliest memories. Your father, grandfathers, brothers, male teachers, coaches, even male characters from books and movies you loved as a child, they've all contributed to your anima's development. Think about your father for a moment. Was he emotionally available and nurturing? Or was he distant, critical, or absent? Was he protective and supportive, or controlling and demanding? Whatever his qualities were, they've become part of your inner masculine blueprint. This has profound implications for your romantic relationships. Your anima acts like a psychological magnet, attracting you to men who either match your inner masculine image or who represent what your anima needs for healing and development. Let me share some common anima patterns. The father-wounded anima. If your father was emotionally unavailable, your anima might be programmed to equate love with emotional distance. You might find yourself constantly trying to earn love from unavailable men, recreating the childhood dynamic of trying to get your father's attention and approval. The critical anima. If you grew up with harsh masculine criticism, your anima might carry a critical inner voice. You might be attracted to men who criticize you, or you might become hypersensitive to any form of masculine feedback, interpreting neutral comments as attacks. The protective anima. If you experienced masculine energy as safe and protective, your anima might seek out strong, stable men. But if this goes too far, you might become dependent on masculine energy for your sense of security. The adventurous anima. If the masculine figures in your life were adventurous and free-spirited, your anima might be attracted to men who embody excitement and unpredictability. The challenge here is distinguishing between healthy adventure and destructive chaos. Here's the beautiful thing. Once you understand your anima patterns, you can begin to develop a conscious relationship with your inner masculine. Instead of unconsciously projecting your anima onto men and hoping they'll fulfill its needs, you can start cultivating these qualities within yourself. This doesn't mean becoming masculine in the traditional sense. It means developing your own capacity for the positive masculine qualities your anima seeks: self-protection, clear boundaries, goal-oriented action, logical thinking, and healthy assertiveness. Practical exercise. Spend some time journaling about the masculine figures from your childhood. What qualities did they have? Which of these qualities do you find yourself seeking in romantic partners? Which of these qualities could you develop more fully within yourself? Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate your need for masculine energy in relationships. It's to come to relationships from a place of wholeness rather than unconscious need. Understanding the male anima, the key to male behavior. Now let's explore the other side of the equation, the male anima. Understanding how men's inner feminine operates is absolutely crucial for any woman who wants to understand male behavior beyond surface appearances. Men's relationship with their anima is often far more complex and conflicted than women's relationship with their inner masculine. Why? Because from a very young age, boys are taught to suppress, deny, or be ashamed of anything considered feminine. They're told not to cry, not to be sensitive, not to show vulnerability. This creates a split in the male psyche that has profound consequences for relationships. Jung observed that when men suppress their anima, it doesn't disappear, it goes underground and becomes unconscious. And an unconscious anima is far more powerful and potentially destructive than a conscious one. Think about the men you've known who seemed to have dramatic mood swings. One day they're warm and affectionate, the next they're cold and distant. Or men who seem to idealize women one moment and then become critical or dismissive the next. This often reflects an undeveloped, unconscious anima. Here are the key ways an unconscious male anima shows up in relationships. Projection and idealization. Men with unconscious animus often project their inner feminine onto women, putting them on pedestals. You become the embodiment of everything beautiful, nurturing, and magical that they've denied in themselves. This feels wonderful at first. Who doesn't want to be adored? But it's unsustainable because you're not actually being seen as a real person with flaws and needs. The flip side, devaluation. When the pedestal crashes, and it always does, these men often swing to the opposite extreme. Suddenly you're criticized for the very qualities they once adored. This isn't about you, it's about their inability to hold both the light and shadow aspects of the feminine. Emotional volatility. Men with unconscious animus often experience emotions as foreign and threatening. When strong feelings arise, they might lash out, withdraw completely, or become sulky and moody in ways that seem disproportionate to the situation. Fear of strong women. An undeveloped anima often feels threatened by confident, independent women because such women mirror the inner feminine strength the man has rejected in himself. This can manifest as trying to control you, compete with you, or diminish your accomplishments. Romantic obsession. Some men with unconscious animus become obsessed with the idea of romantic love as salvation. They believe that finding the right woman will complete them and solve all their emotional problems. This puts enormous pressure on relationships and often leads to disappointment. Now, I want to be clear. Understanding these patterns isn't about excusing bad behavior or becoming a therapist for every man you meet. It's about recognizing psychological dynamics so you can respond consciously rather than react emotionally. When you understand that his sudden coldness might be his anima feeling overwhelmed rather than a reflection of your worth, you can maintain your center. When you recognize that his criticism of your strength comes from his own inner conflict, you don't have to shrink to make him comfortable.
De positive male anima.
Men who have done the work to develop a conscious relationship with their anima are absolute treasures in relationships. They can access and express their emotions in healthy ways, appreciate and celebrate strong women without feeling threatened, provide emotional support and nurturing, balance logic with intuition in decision-making, maintain consistent emotional availability. How can you tell if a man has a developed anima? Look for these signs. He's comfortable with his own emotions and can talk about feelings without becoming defensive. He has close friendships with women that aren't sexual. He appreciates your strength and independence rather than trying to dim it. He's interested in inner growth and self-reflection. He can receive feedback without becoming aggressive or completely shutting down. He shows genuine empathy and emotional intelligence. Understanding the male anima also helps you recognize when you might be dealing with projection. If a man seems to see you as either perfect or terrible, with no middle ground, you're likely dealing with anima projection rather than genuine seeing. The shadow in relationships. Why we're attracted to the wrong people. Now we come to one of Jung's most revolutionary concepts, the shadow. The shadow represents everything about ourselves that we've rejected, denied, or never developed. In relationships, the shadow plays a role that's both fascinating and potentially destructive. Jung discovered that we often fall in love with people who carry our projected shadow, the parts of ourselves we've disowned. This explains why you might find yourself inexplicably attracted to people who seem completely wrong for you on paper. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever been attracted to the bad boy type? The rebel, the artist, the emotionally unavailable charmer, the man who lives life on his own terms without regard for conventional expectations? If so, you're not alone, and you're not shallow or self-destructive. You're responding to your own disowned shadow. Here's how it works. Let's say you grew up in a family that valued being good, responsible, predictable, people-pleasing. To belong and be loved, you learn to suppress your rebellious impulses, your desire for adventure, your raw sexuality, your anger, or your need for freedom. These qualities didn't disappear, They went into your shadow.
When you meet a man who embodies these shadow qualities, you feel an intense attraction.
He represents the part of yourself you've never allowed to exist. Through him, you get to experience adventure, rebellion, passion, or freedom vicariously.
The shadow projection trap.
The problem with shadow projection is that it creates an unstable foundation for relationships. You're not actually attracted to him as a complete person, you're attracted to the parts of yourself you see reflected in him. This leads to several common relationship patterns. The savior complex. You're attracted to damaged men because their brokenness reflects your own disowned pain. You believe that if you can heal them, you'll heal yourself. But this rarely works because you're trying to fix your own shadow through another person. The completion fantasy. You believe this person will complete you by providing the qualities you lack. But relationships between two halves don't create wholeness, they create codependency. The idealization devaluation cycle. You idealize the shadow qualities in your partner, but when those same qualities create problems, the rebel who can't hold a job, the free spirit who can't commit, you suddenly devalue them. But here's Jung's brilliant insight. Instead of seeking these shadow qualities in a partner, you can integrate them into yourself. This is called shadow work, and it's one of the most transformative things you can do for your relationships. Common female shadow elements in relationships. The wild woman. If you've always been the good girl, your shadow might contain wild, untamed feminine energy. Instead of seeking this in a chaotic partner, you could develop your own capacity for spontaneity, sensuality, and authentic self-expression. The warrior. If you've always been passive and accommodating, your shadow might contain fierce, protective energy. Rather than being attracted to aggressive men, you could develop your own healthy assertiveness and boundary-setting skills. The adventurer. If you've lived a safe, predictable life, your shadow might crave adventure and risk. Instead of seeking this through a reckless partner, you could create your own adventures and challenges. The dark feminine. This includes your capacity for healthy selfishness, sexual power, emotional intensity, and the ability to say no. If these have been suppressed, you might project them onto femme fatale type women or seek men who seem to embody dark, mysterious energy. Practical shadow work for relationships. Notice your attractions. What qualities consistently attract you in men? List them honestly, including the ones that seem wrong or dangerous. Find the disowned parts. For each attractive quality, ask yourself, how might I develop this quality in a healthy way within myself? Start small. If you're attracted to rebellious men, start by breaking small rules in your own life. If you're drawn to creative types, start your own creative practice. Own your projections. When you find yourself intensely attracted to or repelled by someone, ask, what part of myself am I seeing in this person? The goal of shadow work isn't to eliminate attraction or passion from your relationships. It's to come to relationships as a whole person who doesn't need someone else to complete you. When you integrate your shadow, you stop being unconsciously driven by what you lack and start consciously choosing partners who complement your wholeness. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In relationships, this means until you integrate your shadow, you'll keep being mysteriously attracted to the same types of people and wondering why your patterns keep repeating. Individuation, the path to conscious relationships. We now arrive at the crown jewel of Jung's psychology, individuation. This concept is so profound that understanding it can completely transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. Individuation is the process of becoming who you truly are, not who your family, society, or even your romantic partners expect you to be, but your authentic self. In the context of relationships, individuation is the difference between losing yourself in love and finding yourself through love. It's the difference between needing someone to complete you and choosing someone to share your completeness with. Jung believed that the ultimate goal of human life is individuation, becoming a unique, integrated individual while maintaining the capacity for deep connection with others. This might sound paradoxical, but it's actually the secret to lasting love. Think about the relationships you've seen that truly work, the couples who've been together for decades and still seem genuinely happy. What you're witnessing is two individuated people who've chosen to share their journey together. They haven't merged into one person, they remain distinct individuals who enhance each other's growth. Now think about the relationships you've seen fail. How many of them involved someone losing themselves in the relationship? Someone giving up their dreams, their friends, their interests, their values to please their partner? Or two people who became so enmeshed they couldn't function independently? The individuation process in relationships. Individuation in relationships involves several key stages.
Stage 1. Separation from the collective.
This means differentiating yourself from societal expectations about what women should be in relationships. Maybe you were taught that women should be selfless, always accommodating, never angry, or always available. Individuation means questioning these collective assumptions and discovering your own authentic way of being in relationships.
Stage 2. Confronting the persona.
Your persona is the mask you wear to be socially acceptable. In relationships, this might be the perfect girlfriend persona, always supportive, never needy, endlessly understanding. Individuation means dropping the persona and showing up authentically, flaws and all.
Stage 3. Integrating the shadow.
As we discussed earlier, this means reclaiming the parts of yourself you've disowned instead of projecting them onto partners.
Stage 4. Balancing Anima and Animus.
This involves developing both your inner masculine and feminine qualities so you're not dependent on a partner to provide what you lack within yourself. Stage 5. Connecting with the self.
Jung distinguished between the ego, your conscious identity, and the self, your deeper, authentic essence.
Individuation means living from the self rather than just the ego, which creates a more stable foundation for relationships. What does individuated love look like in practice? Healthy interdependence. You maintain your own life, interests, and friendships while also deeply sharing with your partner. You're like two strong trees growing side by side. Your roots might intertwine, but each tree maintains its own strength and integrity. Authentic communication. You speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You express your needs, boundaries, and feelings honestly, and you can receive your partner's truth without becoming defensive. Mutual growth. You support each other's individuation process, even when it means your partner might change in ways that challenge you. You understand that love isn't about keeping someone the same, it's about supporting their authentic development. Conscious conflict. You can disagree and even fight without trying to destroy each other or merge back into false harmony. You see conflict as an opportunity for deeper understanding and growth. Individual wholeness. You don't complete each other, you enhance each other. You both bring wholeness to the relationship rather than trying to find completion through it. Spiritual connection. Individuated relationships often have a spiritual dimension. You see your partner as a unique soul on their own journey, and you honor that journey even when it differs from yours. I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds selfish, or won't focusing on my own individuation hurt my relationships? This is a common fear, but Jung's research showed the opposite. People who are individuated actually make better partners because they don't project their unmet needs onto their partners. They take responsibility for their own emotions and healing. They can love from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. They don't try to control or change their partners. They bring more creativity, passion, and authenticity to relationships.
The paradox of individuation.
Here's the beautiful paradox Jung discovered. The more individuated you become, the better you are at intimate connection. When you're secure in your own identity, you can let your partner be themselves without feeling threatened. When you're not trying to get your unmet needs filled through your partner, you can actually see and love them for who they are.
Advanced applications. Jung's wisdom in daily relationship life.
Now let's bring all of Jung's profound insights into your daily relationship reality. This is where psychology meets real life, where theory becomes transformation. Decoding common relationship scenarios through Jung's lens.
Scenario 1. The Disappearing Act.
He's been texting you all day, then suddenly goes silent. Your mind starts racing with interpretations.
Through Jung's lens, ask yourself,
Is this triggering my Anima's abandonment fears from childhood? Am I projecting my own need for constant connection onto him? Could this be his Anima feeling overwhelmed and needing space? What would my individuated self do in this situation? Scenario 2. The criticism spiral. He makes a comment about your appearance, your choices, or your behavior, and you feel devastated. Jung would suggest, is this activating your inner critic, negative animus? Are you giving him the power to define your worth? Could this be his unconscious Anima feeling threatened by your strength? How can you respond from your center rather than your wounds? Scenario 3. The attraction to unavailable men. You keep falling for men who are emotionally unavailable, commitment phobic, or already in relationships. Jung's analysis. What part of your shadow is attracted to the forbidden? Is your Anima programmed to equate love with pursuit and struggle? Are you avoiding intimacy by choosing unavailable partners? What would available, consistent love trigger in you?
Advanced Jungian Relationship Strategies.
The projection withdrawal technique. When you find yourself having an intense emotional reaction to your partner, try this. Pause and ask, how much of this is about him, and how much is about my projections? Identify what quality you're reacting to. Ask, how do I relate to this quality within myself? Respond to the actual person, not your projection.
De Anima/Animus Dialogue.
When you're confused about someone's behavior, have an internal dialogue with your Anima. What is my inner masculine telling me about this situation? Is this voice coming from my father, my past experiences, or my intuitive wisdom? What would a healthy inner masculine counselor advise?
De Shadow Integration Practice.
When you're attracted to someone who seems wrong for you, list the qualities that attract you. For each quality, ask, how could I develop this within myself? Take one small action to integrate that quality. Notice how your attractions shift as you become more whole. Creating individuated relationship agreements. Instead of falling into unconscious relationship patterns, create conscious agreements. Emotional responsibility. I take responsibility for my own emotions and healing. I won't try to fix you or expect you to fix me. Authentic communication. I will share my truth even when it's uncomfortable, and I will listen to your truth without trying to change you. Growth support. I will support your individuation process even when it challenges me to grow. Shadow awareness. I will own my projections and work with my own psychology rather than trying to change you. Practical daily exercises. Morning Anima check-in. Before interacting with your partner, spend 2 minutes asking your inner masculine, what do I need to feel centered and authentic today? Evening projection review. Reflect on your day. What did I project onto my partner? What did I take personally that might not have been about me? Weekly shadow inventory. Notice what you criticized or admired in your partner this week. Ask, how do these qualities exist within me? Monthly individuation assessment. Evaluate, am I growing into more of myself in this relationship, or am I shrinking to fit? Jung's work also helps us identify relationships that hinder individuation. Partners who punish you for growing or changing. Relationships where you consistently lose yourself. People who need you to stay wounded or small. Partners who won't take responsibility for their own psychology. Relationships based primarily on projection rather than genuine seeing. Green flags for conscious relationships. Partners who support your authentic self-expression. People who do their own psychological work. Relationships that challenge you to grow. Partners who can see you clearly, not just their projections. Connections that enhance your individuation journey.
Conclusion. Integrating Jung's wisdom for lasting love.
As we reach the end of our deep dive into Jung's revolutionary understanding of relationships, let's integrate everything we've discovered into a practical framework for your love life moving forward. Jung's greatest gift to us wasn't just his brilliant analysis of human psychology, it was his recognition that consciousness can transform everything. Once you understand the unconscious patterns that have been running your relationship life, you have the power to choose differently.
Your new relationship operating system.
Think of what you've learned today as a complete upgrade to your relationship operating system. Instead of running on old programs installed by childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, and unconscious patterns, you now have access to a much more sophisticated way of relating. The 4 pillars of Jungian relationship mastery. Pillar 1. Anima awareness. You now understand that your inner masculine has been shaped by your earliest experiences with men, and these patterns have been unconsciously influencing your attractions and relationship choices. With this awareness, you can recognize when you're relating to your projections versus the actual person. Develop your own healthy masculine qualities instead of seeking them in partners. Choose partners based on conscious compatibility rather than unconscious compulsions.
Pillar 2. Shadow integration.
You've learned that the qualities you find most irresistibly attractive often represent your own disowned potential.
Moving forward, you can
use attraction as a mirror for self-discovery. Integrate your shadow qualities instead of projecting them. Create relationships based on wholeness rather than completion. Pillar 3. Projection mastery. You now recognize that much of what triggers you in relationships is actually your own psychological material. This awareness allows you to take responsibility for your emotional reactions. Respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. See your partner more clearly by withdrawing your projections.
Pillar 4. Individuation commitment.
You understand that the healthiest relationships occur between 2 people committed to their own psychological development. This means maintaining your authentic self while deeply connecting, supporting your partner's growth even when it challenges you, creating relationships that enhance rather than diminish your individuation. Here's what I want you to remember as you go forward. You are not doomed to repeat unconscious patterns. You are not at the mercy of your childhood programming. You are not destined to have confusing, painful relationships. Jung proved that human beings have an incredible capacity for psychological growth and transformation. Every relationship challenge you faced has been an opportunity for greater consciousness, even if you didn't recognize it at the time. The confusion you felt about men, the patterns you've repeated, the heartbreaks you've endured, all of it has been preparing you for this moment of awakening. Now you have the tools to transform your relationship life from the inside out.
Your Jungian love manifesto. As you move forward, carry these truths with you.
I am already whole, and I seek partnership to share my wholeness, not to complete myself. I take responsibility for my own psychological development and healing, and I support my partner in taking responsibility for theirs. I will see my partner clearly, without the distortion of my projections, and I will allow myself to be seen authentically in return. I will use every relationship challenge as an opportunity for greater consciousness and growth. I will honor both my feminine and masculine energies, and I will support my partner in developing their full psychological potential. I will love from a place of strength and choice, not from neediness or fear. Carl Jung once wrote, "The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." This is the beauty of conscious relationships. They transform both people involved. But here's the key: transformation happens through awareness, not through trying to change each other. When you bring consciousness to your relationships, when you understand the deeper psychological dynamics at play, When you take responsibility for your own growth, that's when real magic happens. The next time you find yourself confused by a man's behavior, remember Jung's wisdom. The next time you're attracted to someone who seems wrong for you, use it as an opportunity for shadow work. The next time you're triggered in a relationship, see it as an invitation to greater consciousness. You have everything you need within you to create the kind of conscious, fulfilling relationships you deserve. Jung's psychology simply gives you the roadmap to access that power. Remember, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Master that relationship, and all your other relationships will transform. If this deep dive into Jung's relationship psychology has opened new doorways of understanding for you, please share it with other women who might benefit. And remember, your journey toward conscious love is not just personal transformation, it's contributing to the evolution of human relationships itself. Until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and trust the wisdom of your own psychological journey. The love you seek is not only possible, it's inevitable when you approach relationships with Jung's profound insights guiding your way.